So David is currently sat in jail facing murder charges, as well as even not more serious, but other charges related to just diabolical things that he had done to a minor, the young girl Celeste Hernandez, who was just 14 years old when she was found in the front trunk of his Tesla. Now, a lot of people have pointed fingers and very little accountability has fallen elsewhere. So in this video, I'm going to be letting you know about all of the people who think they got off scot-free, but I think they need to be investigated. I hope that the authorities at some point will hold some of the people that enabled David accountable. And I do think some of the people that I bring up in this video, right, some of these people might end up facing charges themselves. And at the very least, I think the authorities need to look into them. And the first person on that list is David's dad, Dawud Burke. Okay, now here's the thing with Dawud Burke, right? He's worked for companies that have something to do with the law profession, and he's a very religious man. He's very involved in the church. But here's the thing, all right? He fought tooth and nail for his family not to testify in that grand jury. If you're such a man of God and your son is such a diabolical child murderer, you should do the right thing by God and by the Bible, all right? And answer those questions. Him trying to skirt away from the grand jury, I think, is out of line. So this is a website. This is davidcase.notion.site. Okay, it's a Notion board for justice for Celeste, where they've been profiling all the different people related to the David case. And so this is a profile on David's dad, Dawud Burke, right? It said, if someone only follows God when it's easy, but ignores the Bible the moment their faith is actually tested, are they really following God at all? Or are they just choosing themselves when it matters? When it matters most, right? Significance, okay? Public reporting identified Dawud Burke as one of 3 family members subpoenaed in the LA County grand jury investigation and involved in the Texas litigation over enforcement. Reporting from a local Houston outlet described prosecutors seeking to compel Dawud Burke, a Texas resident, to travel to California and testify, and he fought tooth and nail to not have to do that. Right? It says Dawud is a very religious man, a Protestant evangelical Christian. He's even spoken publicly at publicly available church services. He's also a litigation support manager at Troutman Pepper Locke, the law firm that's a co-executor and manager of the Jeffrey Epstein case. That's a whole bag of worms. You look into that in your spare time, right? Open questions being asked. What specific material and necessary facts do prosecutors believe that Dawud can provide? Is it vehicle registrations, custody movement, communications, finances? What does he know about what David was doing? What did David tell them? And let's not forget, the victim, Celeste, had been to their house in Texas, right? That's been established by the paperwork. They're asking, was any immunity or transport arrangement offered in the filing? Some reports suggest travel logistics were part of the request. As a self-declared Christian man, is it against the Bible and the views of the religion that you follow to possibly hide your son, possibly lie for him, and refuse to testify to obstruct justice, right? Are you an actual Christian if instead of telling the truth and not obstructing justice, you instead refuse to testify and possibly lie to cover for them? Faith isn't really faith if it only exists when things are convenient. If someone claims to follow God but abandons what the Bible teaches, the moment that they're faced with a hard choice, can they honestly even call themselves a follower of God? What most Protestant theology would say to the Burkes, the Bible consistently condemns covering up wrongdoing, even for your own family. If a son committed the murder of a minor and the father helped hide it, or even just refused to testify, most mainstream Protestant teachings would view that as A, participating in injustice, B, concealing sin, and C, placing family loyalty above righteousness. All right? They're going to come down on with great anger and fury, right? They're saying many pastors would argue that the Christian response would be to tell the truth and allow justice. Not necessarily turn your son in a dramatic sense, but not obstruct justice for Celeste or lie for them. Now, I think this is interesting. This says what the Bible says about hiding a crime, especially murder. 1, justice should come over family loyalty. Deuteronomy 13:6-9 says, if your brother, your son, your daughter secretly entices you, you must not yield to him or listen to him. You must certainly put him to death. What we saying, Dawud? What we saying? Right? What are you going to do about this? You hide in, can't do the grand jury. No, we can't do the grand jury. Oh, we don't want to reply to that. Why? You must not yield to him. Ye must not yield to him. This passage is extreme in context, idol worship laws, but the principle is clear. Family loyalty does not override justice or truth. 2, do not show partiality in Leviticus 19:15. Do not pervert justice. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. Biblically, protecting someone from justice because they're your son would be considered partiality. 3, concealing sin is condemned. Proverbs 28:13. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper. but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy. The biblical model is confession and repentance, not concealment. 4. False witness or withholding truth. Exodus 20:16, you shall not bear false witness. In Christian ethics, this includes withholding the truth in a justice situation if it allows justice to occur. 5. New Testament says, obey authorities. Romans 13:1-4. All right. Let everyone be subject to governing authorities, for rulers are God's servants to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Doesn't say nothing in that Bible. It doesn't say nothing in the New Testament about hiding from the grand jury. Let everyone be subject to governing authorities. Don't say nothing about filing injunctions and ducking a grand jury. This passage is used widely in Protestant theology to argue civil law enforcement has a God-given authority to punish crimes like murder. What about grooming a child? What about lying in wait? But you duck in that grand jury. Not very Christian. Not very Christian. I want these questions answered. And then you've got David's mother, Colleen Burke. Here's alleged audio of David's mother about 6 years ago on one of David's hidden YouTube channels. See what she said.
Live the way you want to. Live out what you feel. You want to be married today and you don't want to be married tomorrow, you're free to that. You want to get married to a tree, you're free to do that. You want to get married to animals, you're free to do that. You want to express your love male on male, female on female, society says you're free to do that. It says that your heart wants what it wants, and you cannot deny your heart what it wants. And I think that only goes for certain people. It's not an exclusive statement. Only certain people are allowed to express themselves in that way concerning their heart and who they love and what they want.
Not sure about all that, folks, all right? People saying this explains a lot of why... Excuse me. This explains a lot of why David was brought up in a very sheltered life, being raised by parents who are extremely Christian conservatives, and him moving to a place like LA and being exposed to all the different lifestyles in the world that she was trying to protect or keep her son away from. And now look what you've created, a sick, twisted monster of a little boy trapped in a little man's body who preyed on an innocent girl. Okay? Weird. Super weird that she's spouting that. Now, there's also friend of the channel, not really friend of the channel, op of the channel, Aysia Collins, all right? Aysia, the wannabe celebrity, the wannabe influencer. She was loving David, right? She was loving David, and before he got arrested, it was all cool. It was all good just a week ago, okay? Close friend of David. Public role as publicly described appears primarily in online posts and discussions about the case, not identified in mainstream reporting as a family member, attorney, or official witness. Official legal status. No confirmed court status in major outlets. Documented case relevant mentions publicly surfaced. Aysia is a close friend of David's. She replied to an Instagram story that was a missing poster of Celeste in February 2024, acknowledging Celeste was David's girlfriend. That was confirmed in her Reddit AMA that was very misguided, not approved by a lawyer. She was supposedly there the very day the vehicle was moved. She repeatedly mentioned she cannot say anything right now, but she wants justice for Celeste too. Claims she barely spent any time with Celeste or talked to her. Now, I personally feel like Aysia, all right, she could be genuinely somebody that's been lied to, has had the wool pulled over her eyes. But me, to be honest, I think she was a hanger-on and she was hedging her bets. This is my opinion. But I think she knew about Celeste. She slipped up a bunch of times trying to clean this whole situation up. But she knew what was going on. She knew the girl. She's replying to people sending her the missing poster, talking about, that's my friend's girlfriend. What do you mean she's 13? All right? But she didn't do shit. She didn't do nothing, didn't raise the alarm bells. She just swallowed up whatever David told her. And I would question why she did that. Did she do that because she was hoping that friendship was going to lead somewhere? She couldn't possibly be the one who brought David down. That's the ironic thing. If she'd have had a backbone, she was warned that he was dating a minor. She's one of the people that potentially could have raised the alarm bell and actually stopped this happening, potentially. I'm not saying it's all her responsibility, but if she'd have had a little bit more good judgment, she could have been the hero that saved this little girl, right? Open questions, not allegations. How much did Aysia know about Celeste? Did she know Celeste died, and when did she find this out? Did she have anything to do with the death of Celeste or hiding the body or crime of Celeste's murder? Okay? And then another person, you know who I'm about to talk about, man. You know our guy, Neo Christopher Langston, all right? We've even got his birthday, September 18th, 2002. It was probably around his birthday that they identified the body. That must have been a wild one for him. Close associate of David Anthony Burke. We're putting him up on the suspect board as a close associate. Documented legal status. He was arrested on January 22, 2026 for failure to appear as a witness for the grand jury. Documented case relevance. He reportedly was present during the period the Tesla was relocated. Timeline correlates this. Identified in proximity to the vehicle movement date, but we need to, cite that. But there's been a lot of suggestions. He was on the tour bus when the tour bus embarked. They're saying that the tour bus left from David's home, and it was shortly after the Tesla was moved for the last time. Some people, like SF Investigate, said that was Neo, but the feds or the authorities actually said that they believe it was David. I believe it was David, to be honest. Investigative relevance. He was close to the vehicle timeline. Legal action was tied to the grand jury and his non-appearance. Whatever he had to say was obviously very important. Why wasn't David's dad and his mum and his brother hauled in by the cops for the grand jury too? Why not? All right. Maybe they were a little bit more savvy. They were trying to cover it up and avoid it. Open questions, not allegations. What was the scope of his grand jury testimony? What was his documented involvement in the vehicle relocation date? And did phone records place him near the vehicle during the movement? I would like to know. Now, this one is one of the most diabolical people involved in this, and I actually don't think this person has got enough flack or has answered enough questions. Celeste Herrera, the decoy Celeste. All right? This lot was so smart with their cover-up that they had a decoy Celeste with the same name who looked similar. She needs to answer questions. And don't give me no, I didn't know nothing about it, no. Apparently, there was some times when both Celeste was in a room together. How did she know David? How did David find another Celeste? Is it a coincidence? I think, in my opinion, it's very hard to believe it's a coincidence. But if it is, I want to know how and why, all right? How on earth did he find you and how did you get sucked up into all of this? You need to answer some questions, all right? She's been mentioned online in speculation as a different Celeste, sometimes confused with Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I think that was intentional. I think this was a play. Public role, limited, unclear, appears mainly in commentary about misidentification rumours, not in authoritative reporting as an official witness or party. Official legal status as confirmed. No confirmed court status is found in any major outlets. We don't know if she was involved. We don't know if she was called to testify. We don't know exactly what was going on. I think she needs to answer some questions, to be honest with you. Documented case relevant mentions. Mentioned as part of two Celestes. The internet rumour cycle, not established as legally relevant by major outlets. Reviewed, allegedly hung out with Celeste at least on one occasion, which is December 31st, 2024. Where she was seen alongside Celeste Hernandez, Neo, and David at David's Hollywood home. You all want to say, I never met her, I didn't hang out with her, I didn't know. You're doing New Year's Eve together. I'm thinking back to the people I've hung out with and partied on New Year's Eve. I got to know you pretty well to reign in the New Year's with you. Open questions. Was another Celeste put in the group on purpose to further add confusion and possibly cover for Celeste being gone, or is it just a coincidence? Some things are just too coincidental to believe. That's just my opinion. What does she know about the death of Celeste Hernandez and the relationship between Hernandez and David? Did something happen on New Year's 2024, December 31st, when they were all supposedly hanging out with each other at David's house? Now, let's not forget, this is after when Celeste, the real Celeste that got killed, this is after... way after they were supposed to have broken up, right? They were supposed to have broken up and their relationship was apparently going until not quite the end of 2024, but then they apparently continued an SUL relationship after that, right? To the point where he's inviting her over his house and then lying in wait and killing her, allegedly. Another name that's come up repeatedly is Josh Marshall, okay? And now I'm starting to look at him. These smug fools that were around David's career, these guys have a lot to answer for. Big mogul vision, all right? Big mogul vision. Didn't have the vision to foresee this absolute clusterfuck happening, did ya? Josh Marshall, David Burke's manager at Mogul Vision. As of March 3rd, 2026, Josh Marshall's Mogul Vision is listed as inactive with the state of Florida Division of Corporations after the discovery of Celeste on September 26. No annual report in 2025 was ever submitted, leading to the dissolution. Just shut it all down, folks. Delete everything. Josh found out who that body was in the trunk. He said delete everything. He's now operating under Mogul Vision Latin LLC. Apparently that's still active. Okay, and here's the significance. This is just speculation. They say Josh Marshall has denied ever receiving an email to him that someone sent him where it said, there's been talk that the artist David possibly has something to do with the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas. If that statement holds any merit, please do the right thing and take her home. Her parents are very worried. Right? SF Investigate showed a screenshot of the email above that directly went to David's management team February 2024. This is just my opinion. My opinion is that he's a liar. That's just my opinion. It's believed that Josh Marshall also leased a red Tesla out for David, even though David already had his black Tesla. Why do you need another car? What did David say to you, Josh Marshall, when you leased him a new car? What was wrong with the other car? It's having some mechanical problems. Don't have an engine, bro. The Hollywood Hills home that David Burke lived in was rented under Josh Marshall and not David Burke. The homeowner was unaware that David was living in the home and never gave permission for this. And it's where the murder happened. The murder happened in your property, Josh Marshall. We need to have some questions answered. So next up is David's Discord and Twitch moderator, Xerks. Now, I've discussed this guy extensively. Okay, he's like David's Grand Wizard, right? If you follow the stuff that's going on with academics, right? He got a guy called Grand Wizard who's like behind the scenes, you know what I'm saying? He pushes a lot of shit. This is like David's Grand Wizard, Xerks. Xerksify. Zabian Neela, allegedly, right? Believed to live in Canada. One of David's Discord mods. One of his strongest soldiers, all right? And here's the significance. He seemed to have knowledge of Celeste and David's illegal relationship. And here's a little message that don't say anything about the tattoo or anything. Act clueless. The cover-up. Delete everything. Told members on Discord not to say anything about the tattoo. Told them to act clueless. Told members to be offline and log out and keep quiet about the death of Celeste when it was first announced. All right? People saying, no, Sophia. I mean, how do you know Xerks wants you guys to stay quiet? He said, oh, because he said it to us on staff chat that we have to be offline, log out from social media, and enjoy outside. Tay has seen it because I screen share in the chat group chat. I saw the message. He said that shit word for word. Okay? Xerks, what's going on? And then this is somebody that I extensively have just like a high level of suspicion about. Mr. Robert Morgan Roth, all right? Robert Morgan Roth. This is David's day-to-day manager, and he was caught bragging about how much money he had made since his client David was found with the body of a minor in his car. All right? Always bet on yourself. No pressure, no diamond. So he's thinking, yeah, I'm under pressure, pushing down. He's thinking, yeah, man, I'm fighting this pressure, getting this money. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. You only made this money. You only got a big bump in David's stream because he got found with a dead minor in his car. And I can't wait for, in what my opinion, in my personal prediction, my personal predictive opinion will happen is David's going to go down for murder and there's going to be a civil suit. And just like OJ, all of OJ's earnings were just sucked away from him by the family of Ron Goldman. I think that's going to happen. And I think some of these folks that are celebrating big $850,000 in 2026 in what, 3 months? 4 months of 2026 made $849,000. Don't count that too soon, Robert. Don't count that too soon because you might be getting some proceeds of crime, civil liability popping up. All right? You might want to just keep that aside for a rainy day, okay? Because it might rain. It says Robert Morgan Roth hasn't made a single public statement, but he has made time to post about his company making $800,000 at the start of May 2026. Meanwhile, his former client is facing serious charges and he's reportedly been questioned for days in front of a grand jury. The priorities here are interesting. Priorities are money. He's telling the public he isn't bothered about what's going on and his connections to David and Celeste. It's all about the money to him. He said it himself. He didn't call the police after Celeste was found in David's car because I didn't think it was my responsibility and I wanted to continue the tour. These words will haunt him, you watch. He's a liar. Look at how the numbers and comma and period are spaced. Is it cap? Is it cap? I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if it could be cap. I hope it's cap. I hope it's a lie and he's fake flexing. All right. I hope he's fake flexing. He might need Intuit QuickBooks when the civil lawsuit comes and they claw all that money back from him. But here are some alleged messages between Robert and David that have actually leaked that don't really look too good. Look at this. All right. Look at this in my document. It says, I'm knocked out in bed. Come to find out she had someone take her back, drinking and all that. She tried to get Davian to lie to me about it, LMAO. Nah, huge L. You did the right thing, more fish in the sea. He said, as F, need me a white chick from Ohio for real. This is David talking to Robert. And he said, I know some. So he's setting up girls. So he's not knowing what's going on with the dead miner in the trunk, and he just wants to go on with the tour. And it's hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I just want to keep going with the tour. I didn't know anything about the dead miner in the trunk. But he's setting him up with white chicks from Ohio? Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. When he has a sec, can you please ask him to defam at the top of his plate? So this is what's going on. All right? Robert. Have you got an answer for this? Because I want to know what on earth was going on. You're setting him up with what happened with the white chicks from Ohio? If you're a white chick from Ohio and Robert Morgan Roth was propositioning you for his client, you need to run. Okay, you need to run because it could get deadly. Now then, we've got Layne Cooperstein, David's other day-to-day manager. This is a Reddit post saying other players aware of the relationship, right? Let's peel back the curtain on old Layne Cooperstein, right? So she was apparently a big dog in his secret ninja group chat, okay? He posted this. He showed this off in a video that you really shouldn't have. Can I zoom in? Let me zoom, hang on. Get my magnifying glass up here, right? David's secret ninja group chat. And I believe it says Layne is in there. Layne Cooperstein, all right? Okay? She locked in. She friends with Robert. All right? What's going on with the white girls in Ohio, man? How old are they? So someone's done this post on Reddit. It says, before I begin, this identity was not found by me, but by another Redditor who's a super sleuth and gave permission to share. Background info. After the Doheny location was exposed, aka Celeste's hideout, aka controversial of R-word in kids stream, curiosity spiked for the identity of the woman who was managing David's streams from that house behind the black curtain. Here are some Twitch clips for reference. Now, we've shown you these previously, but basically, it's not too much. I hate when they delete evidence like this, man. Don't tell me this is all gone. I've got this in another video, but I guess they're deleting all the evidence. They delete everything. Remember when David said delete everything and Twitch said, yeah, bet, let's cover up the evidence. So Twitch is now complicit in the David cover-up. Thanks for that, guys. Brilliant. It says, anyway, the super sleuth caught the name in the interview where he showed his phone. She's part of the secret ninjas. Her name is Layne Cooperstein, and she's currently a general manager of the Dark Room. She has spearheaded the development of multi-platinum up-and-comer David, including securing a performance at Valentino Men's Fashion Week and his tour announcement with SZA. In the past year, she's built an in-house creator marketing team and an international marketing team. Why does it matter? Well, she was around the Doheny house, so she probably has knowledge of Celeste. Can't wait for these people to show up in court. I can't wait to see him in there too. Okay, Layne Cooperstein, the words that come to mind right now are, you big dummy. From a clip on Variety, my main goal is to help our darkroom artists grow in every facet of their career while building a global story around the worlds they're creating. AKA, she encouraged David to tell a story about being a murderer as compelling content. Some of the most exciting things we've done are producing out-of-the-box idea into high-visibility moments. Because it's such an out-of-the-box idea to have the guy make up some scenario for his music videos where he's solving murders that he did himself. How did this pass the sniff test? If she felt like it was off, why didn't she report shit earlier? I am dying to know the explanation, because I don't believe a human could be so bad as to not speak out in the sense that something was way off with this. Or maybe she just grew up in Beverly Hills privileged as F and didn't imagine that someone could do something this bad. Because I'm thinking money talks and they saw potential in him, right? What's going on with her? But there's more people, all right? And so this person, can I show you this? Let me just check that I can actually show you this. Hang on. This is Maximilian Polo. This is a photographer. Right, this is another person that people have been looking at. Content editor and creative director at Live Nation Entertainment. Ones to watch. Right, went to UCLA, University of California. So he allegedly is the person who deleted this very incriminating photo. And some people were saying that this event actually was an engagement between David and Celeste. And now a lot of people have tried to say that's not Celeste. Looks like Celeste with an engagement ring to me. Looks like Celeste with an engagement ring. Looks like an engagement party. Maximilian Polo said nightlife recently. All right. I just realized the entire Instagram post with the engagement photos appears to be gone. I'm talking about Nor's birthday party, the balloon pics, matching bandanas, etc. That post was a huge part of the timeline because the sleuths found it almost immediately and used it as a reference point. This post was dated July 30th, 2024 with the caption nightlife recently. Currently on Maximilian's Instagram, the post is dated July 26th, 2024, July 27th, 2024, and August 1st, 2024. No clue when it was deleted, but I want to mention it because I haven't seen anyone talk about it yet. They were all deleted a long time ago, probably around mid-October. I was looking for them and almost all pictures of him were gone on his page. People have got to realize once the feds are involved, they have pictures of all of this. Or Instagram can just restore it in the 30-day process. Pretty much all of this info, they have it in a secret folder somewhere. Doubt anything deleted is just hidden. Also, if I took that photo and it was on my Insta, I would delete it as well. I hope 99% of people have a no-nonce policy. All right? Maximilian Polo, man, have you been questioned by the feds? I would like to know. Hit me up, man. Let me know if you've been questioned by the feds, because you got a picture of David with what looks like a minor wearing an engagement ring, the same minor that ended up dead in the trunk of his car. Can we have an answer for that? There's also Martin, aka Asian, all right? There's a mod in his Discord called Asian, okay? He is apparently deeply involved in Operation Delete Everything, okay? Group Command Purge. Asian activated the group command purge. He said, help purge. He activated the purge bot. Delete everything. All right? They can delete everything they want, but Discord has a backup. All the cops have to do is subpoena them. LMAO, they be as dumb as David. We already have enough screenshots to know that his entire server is filled with PDFs. On top of that, the police can literally get those messages back in minutes if they want to. And do they realize this just makes them look even more guilty? What the F are they hiding? It's not a one-man job, that's for sure. All right? So, delete everything's not so delete everything after all. And so, after the cooking stream around December 2024, which is, you know, the one that David appeared on a live stream on Twitch with his underage girlfriend Celeste, where basically he said at the end of it, delete everything because she spoke a little bit too spicy. Well, around that time after that stream, users in David's Discord started asking if David had a girlfriend. And apparently, okay, that Asian, aka Martin, he was part of deleting some of those comments. Okay? People saying David got a girlfriend. People saying no for the first time. Yes, wait, for real? Holy moly, I want to see her face. Can't have that. I need that deleted. All right? So was that her on stream? People saying yes. She kissed him at the beginning of the second stream. It was so cute. Is it the music video girl or another? What's her at? Said, I'm going to have to watch it. I only watched a couple seconds because I was getting ready for school. And so there's more Discord messages that basically revealed that Martin, aka Asian, was actually the person who deleted the Delete Everything Twitch stream. People saying, no, the music video girl is Aysia. She's like 20-something. Why are we bringing up the ages, gang? Asian deleted the VOD because David said the hard R, apparently. And they're saying she's a W. They're saying dog, real, L Asian. What's the new girl's at? I haven't seen her. And so another person, obviously, who's been brought up is Moji. Now, this is the person that basically allegedly created David's Discord. He's been described by some users as an abusive Discord user. They're saying Moji was the original server owner of the David server, I think, but he just gave it to David. Someone said Moji is the one who made the server. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. People saying, yep. They're saying, who's talking on voice notes? People saying, what? They're saying, that's Moji in the voice notes? And said, bro was chill until I found out he was a PDF. Deadass looks like a child. They're saying, why the F is he orange? And they're saying, all the fact that he would abuse his ex. Not cool, man. Yep, didn't know that. So he's apparently an abuser. Allegedly. This is all just alleged people in Discord saying this, right? People saying, Moji is a PDF? No way. People saying, yeah, bro, everyone knew that. How the F... They're saying, how the F, his little sister, and then they're posting images, okay? So apparently Moji was on the Fortnite team with David and Celeste when she was 12, and he confirmed this in alleged messages. Said, we were all in Team Limit Fortnite team. People saying, Celeste? How the F was a 12-year-old in a paid Fortnite organization? And he said, I honestly figured even older than me, like she didn't sound like a kid, okay? So here's his alleged Instagram, right? Here's his legend. He's got a lot of followers. Right? He's active, right? He's active. He's outside. He's smoking a cig. He's smoking a dart. He got the mask on, like Future. You know what I'm saying? He's active, right? This is allegedly him. And before anyone tries to say I'm harassing or anything like that, this is a public figure with 61,000 followers on a public Instagram page, okay? It is what it is. Then, of course, we get to another frequent contributor to the case, all right? Caleb, David's brother, who was seen taking the victim, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found dead in David's trunk, in his brother's trunk, backstage at the show at the Fonda Theatre, where basically, allegedly, there was a photograph of the balcony where David's mother was sat next to David's sister, who was sat next to Celeste, who was sat on the other side by Caleb. So she sat right in between the two kids. She's being treated as if she's one of David's own kids. But he wants to talk about, I didn't even know who she was. I thought she was just a friend of a friend. Looks like you chaperoning her. Looks like you chaperoning her to me. Don't cap. Don't cap to the people. Please. Have a laugh. All right? So we just going to forget that. We're just going to forget that. You guys all coming along. I think, is that David's little sister right in the front too? I don't know. In front of Celeste. They all traveling together in between each other as a whole happy family. Okay? Caleb's been mentioned repeatedly by people that have been following the case, all right, and I still think that he's got some things to answer. Now, another person who I think might have some answers is Mike Zara. This is David's guitarist who was backstage with David on tour, and is another person worth noting because he is actually Morgan Roth. He's his brother.
The pop world and the country world are so different, and God, dude, I've been asked to do crazy things, like I play with this artist named David. and he's a young kid, and all this stuff, as talented as he is, one of the most talented people I've ever met, man. He's 18 and he's just like unbelievably good at being a musician, and it's a writer, and God, man, it's just inspiring to be around him. But I've been asked to do some crazy things because he's not a player, and he's real new to music in general, you know. So he kind of doesn't understand certain things that might be like a little bit of a stretch to ask. But, you know, going back to like the say yes to everything thing, you get better, you know, with these like management people and stuff who are always around, like they see this kind of thing and they're like, oh man. So I remember we were doing these pre-show acoustic things for the fans, the biggest fans who got these like VIP passes, you know, like a meet and greet sort of thing. We were playing a couple songs on acoustic before the show started. And so he would ask me tons of times, like, hey man, I'm working on this song. You've never heard it before. And I know we go on in like 10 minutes to do this meet and greet thing, but can you learn it if I just send you the demo or whatever that I'm doing? Sure.
He's talking about David's used to just asking crazy requests and he just gets whatever he wants from management, right? You locked in with the management, right? Look, I'm not saying that this guy necessarily knew what was going on, but he definitely had some experience of what was going on in the inner workings of David's tour, and I want to know what he knew. I think we should be asking the question. I'm not saying he's involved in any way, but I'm saying he might have witnessed some of David's behaviors that might be telling about what ended up happening. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, so a lot of people have now been asking on Reddit, should we start talking about his bandmates that were on tour with him? I've always been thinking about the fact that the whole time the case has been going on, nobody has questioned his bandmates. They were in the tour bus with David, right? I remember that was briefly mentioned during an interview when David was saying his family went to all concerts and how it's just his family and his bandmates on the bus. So wasn't Celeste on the bus too, or at least around, since she's been spotted at a few shows? It was talked about a bit in the beginning, but it's good coming back up. His tour guitarist is apparently Mike Zara, who is Robert Morgan Roth's brother. Mike and Rob own a company called Zara Brothers Travel and were managing his tour under Zara Brothers Travel, while Rob was his day-to-day manager under Robert Mogul Vision. Were they managing Celeste? Were they managing the girls and friends and, you know... Robert's talking about, I got some white girls from Ohio. So was he managing the girls that were coming around? Why is the LAPD protecting this artist, right? Just because you didn't hear about it doesn't mean the associates haven't been extensively interviewed by law enforcement. It's true, and I would hope that law enforcement has spoken to everybody. Now, another person is Oliver Jordan, okay? This is one of David's videographers. He's distanced himself extensively, and he's currently now working closely with Billie Eilish. Right, so Billy, maybe you want to just ask your man if he's got any spare footage knocking around from the David days, because I would love to know. Any of David's videographers, he on Darkroom Records. Hello, Layne Cooperstein, what do you know? So another person who apparently worked with them is Jim Philippone. Okay, Jim Philippone, another alleged photographer who worked with David. He's rumored to actually be quite close to David's Discord moderator, Xerks. Okay. Xerxify. So look, he's taking good pictures. I'm not saying he involved or he responsible. Is that the baby rocking out with the baby? See, he clearly a fire photographer. Shout out to him, man. Look, quality photos. I'm not saying he's involved, but I would like to know. All right, I would like to know, what was it like working with David? What did you see when you were rocking out with David and you were taking photos of David playing his shows? What did you see? What was going on? What was going on with David? I'm very curious. Complex Con 24. I was there. Was I there, or was it 25? No, it was 25. I was there the year after. My bad. Might have to pull up to the next one, though. So another person that apparently spent time with David on a photography tip is Raheem. Okay. So this is Raheem. Okay. And essentially, all right, he's an Emmy-nominated creator. Okay, he's apparently one of David's videographers. I want to know, what did you see? I got a few questions. I'm not saying you're involved, but I'm saying, what did you witness? I would love to know offline. These are all just people that were around David, all right? And then if I'm going to stop focusing on the little guys and the random people that maybe photographed David, let's take a look at the label, the big dogs. I want to know the executives at UMG and Interscope and David ENT LLC. I want to know what the executives UMG, the check cutters, what did they know about David? Did they spend time with him? What was their experience with him? Did they feel like something weird was going on, and where was his money going? So it says, I just want to hash some things out that I find extremely off about this whole situation. From what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, David's parents were handling his finances, correct? So who was/is handling Caleb's finances? Who's helping with his music career? Hard to say for sure, but I'd assume his parents are probably handling his finances as well, right? Oh, but Caleb denounced David, huh? Yet David and Caleb's parents are still super supportive of David, right? So is Caleb totally estranged from his family right now, or was all that just a statement he released for PR? Also, Interscope dropped him after he was arrested, right? Yet you still get a UMG copyright if you try and post his music videos on social media to this day. Weird. Fuck UMG, first of all right? Hate UMG. They bully the entire scene with their false copyright strikes. Shout out to my guy, What's the Dirt? He is getting an absolutely unjust beating from UMG's copyright system right now because of a breakdown that he did on Drake's video. It is disgusting, and YouTube should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this fraud to run rampant on their platform. And the fact that they're still doing copyright strikes on anybody that's showing David's music videos, and I've had it too when I did a full breakdown of all of his music videos and all the clips and all of the stuff that was included, that he had put all the clues about the murder that he had put in his career that UMG own. Disgusting. They need to answer questions. What do you mean you got dropped, but we're still getting copyright strikes if we post your music? Ain't been dropped. And those copyright claims and strikes, they are extracting money. At the end of the day, I get paid for the quality journalism and the hard work that I do to broadcast the messages that I want to find out. I'm not just getting money out the sky because somebody hurt somebody. I'm doing diligent research, and I'm showing up every day to report and give my time and create and craft these videos and create everything around them and put them out there. That's why the videos are monetized, because of the work that I do to broadcast the information that I've found, that I've gone to the effort to find, right? Not rocket science. These record companies will steal that money if you show their content. You're allowed to legally do that under fair use, whether you're doing criticism, analysis, you're describing it, whether you're slating it. If I want to pick apart a David music video and say that man is disgusting, and in my opinion he's a child murderer, and he left clues about his child murder in all of his videos that UMG are making money off of, they're a disgrace. I should be allowed to do so, and I should be able to keep the money. It is not on them to steal that money from creators, because they're heavy-handedly enforcing copyright law on YouTube. Outside the guidelines of what's actually allowed by law, they let these guys go beyond what the law allows. It's despicable. And UMG, okay, they bully creators and they take money out of their pockets. So the hardworking people that are journalists, that create videos, that create content, that do deep dives, that do analysis, people like What's the Dirt, that did an amazing breakdown of Drake's Iceman episode 4, and they're stealing the money from him. Go and look at his Twitter right now. You will see they are stealing the money from him, okay, because they own Drake's music. And they basically will bully anyone that even has an opinion about the music, even though you're legally allowed to do copyright, fair use of copyrighted material for critique, analysis, criticism, journalism, reporting, all of that stuff. Okay. If I want to report that Drake said something crazy in one of his songs, legally I should be allowed to play a clip of that song. But YouTube enables these record labels to violate fair use law, essentially. Okay, now they have a system, and to be fair to YouTube, they try their best to create a system that balances both sides. You can do an appeal, which is very good. You can do a counter notification, which is very good, but you have to be very, very savvy to these copyright systems to even have the chance at beating these completely unlawful claims. And it's UMG that's responsible. They're disgusting. Okay, so they're still collecting money. All right, and they're still profiting. So when people say, oh, you profit off of this murder, no, I profit off quality journalism. All right, but when UMG do that, that's messed up. All right, I believe Interscope had a temporary licensing agreement with David, so when they dropped him, they no longer have the rights to his songs. That's supposedly when the ownership of his masters went to David ENT LLC. David is supposedly independent now, but there's a lot of independent labels that are actually backed by the majors. And based off the fact that you still get a UMG copyright when you try and post his music on social media, I just wonder what the situation really is there. Like, does UMG still get a cut of his music because he never recouped or something like that? What do you guys think? People saying just because an artist gets dropped from the roster doesn't mean the company doesn't retain interest in their music. There's contractual obligations that have to be met, and even if he signed over any or all of his publishing masters for, say, 6 albums in perpetuity forever, he's locked into it on top of any other clauses in the fine print. We don't have his contracts in front of us to decipher them, but if they were standard, I doubt David has any actual leverage to manipulate better terms. Interscope, UMG, and whoever he was in business with retains points on his music. He was not independent by no means. His parents could have been, or currently still do, handle his finances for him. He was over 18 and he could have had his own control over them as well if he was smart. His dad's a lawyer. His assets were in a trust and anything still being generated will still be accessible to him and whomever is named in the trust with access. Aside from speculative thoughts as to maybe this or maybe that, we really don't know the details of any of this. People are saying, I think you nailed it on the head. All of these companies and people are still in bed together, but they made all these moves for optics. UMG has not actually released him, just transferred his music to another company with some sort of deal. Caleb is trying to launch his music career by denouncing David and making vague comments about how our words need to die, but if he really cared about justice for Celeste, then he wouldn't have skipped court. Facts. The boy is homeschooled. Who exactly is giving him money for his music career? Let's not forget that Interscope approved Celeste's voice to be used on David's songs, a minor who ended up dead in their artist's front. They're doing everything in their power to keep that under wraps. Says his family says they don't support him and refuse to show up for the grand jury proceedings. So you see where I'm going. The whole situation seems shady. There's been rumors going around that David's victim list is a lot more than we know. Victims while he was on tour, also the reason that he hired Blair Burke, Harvey Weinstein's lawyer. Weinstein had a literal army of spies that were used to suppress information and control the narrative. I'm pretty sure the same tactics are being employed on some of these subreddits. I believe so, and I believe that I'm being targeted, but I'm not going to get into that today. Yes, there's definitely evidence of other victims. As to the extent of it, I don't know, but I really wouldn't be shocked if there was a bigger conspiracy or cover-up. They're saying, to what end? Why do you want to know this? Honestly, it just seems like trivia and is somewhat irrelevant to the bigger picture. Actually, if his parents knew his finances, they know out-of-country flight tickets bought for a minor, so it matters. Are you a David supporter or something? Look, all right? Charles, is that you? Who's Charles? Basically, okay, you get the gist, all right? I don't think this was true. Yeah, that was fake. I think all of these people just have some questions to answer. I'm not saying they're responsible. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying they did anything, but I would like to know what they knew. I wonder if the cops have questioned all of these people, perhaps. I think that photographers possibly will have been getting subpoenaed. I think that, Discord moderators will definitely have been contacted. They tried to get his parents to testify in the grand jury, and they basically did everything they could to wiggle their little way out of it, okay? But it's not going to last forever, and eventually this is going to go to trial. It might take years, and I'm going to be covering this for years. I'm going to be locked in. Don't you worry, okay? Very interesting. I will keep you guys updated if I hear anything more, but I want to know what all of these people knew, and I think we'll find out eventually. And perhaps some of these people knew nothing, and that's absolutely fair, but we need to know, and the question deserves to be answered. I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for all of your support. I will see you guys soon. Bye.